Katie McLaughlin is in that photo, correct?
Yes, along with a bunch of other friends.
Of course, there are other friends, but you...
Miss Gianetti, please no more, of course.
Of course, Your Honor. With regard to...
I'm not a lawyer, but let me tell you about day 11 and 12 in the Karen Reed trial. So Caitlyn Albert is up on cross-examination, and the defense attorneys are asking her about the night of January 28th, 2022. Caitlyn had went out to the waterfall with her family and her boyfriend, Tristan, but because Tristan had to plow the streets around 3 a.m. the next morning, he didn't intend to stay long or to drink much.
From the beginning of that night, the plan was for Tristan to go home early, correct?
Yes.
The reason he was going home early and only having a couple of drinks was to see if he could catch some sleep before what would be a very difficult work morning, correct?
Yes.
And the plan when he left you was that you wouldn't see him again until after he was done with his plowing that morning, correct?
That's incorrect.
Is it your testimony that the plan from the beginning was that Tristan was going to drive from Canton to Easton and get some rest, and then drive from Easton to Canton to pick you up so that he could take you back from Canton to Easton? That was the plan?
It may not have been set in stone, but it was definitely spoken about, and then that's what ended up happening.
Have you ever told anyone that before, Ms. Albert, that the plan from the start of the night was that Tristan was going to make 4 trips total?
I don't remember if I mentioned that to anybody.
That was the first time you've ever said that, just now before this jury. Would you agree with that?
I believe so.
Isn't it true that you decided at 1:45 in the morning that it was important for you to get home?
I didn't want to get snowed in at my parents' house. Our apartment in Easton to 34 Fairview Road is about 18, 19 minutes.
Okay, and that's when there's not a snowstorm outside, correct?
Correct.
On January 29th of 2022, you were there at your parents' house from around midnight until about 1:45. And during that span of time, almost 2 hours, you never saw anyone pull up outside, correct?
I personally did not.
No. Against that white snow, did you see a black baseball cap?
I did not.
Did you see 45 pieces of red taillight plastic?
I did not.
Did you see a 6'2" man on your parents' front lawn in front of you?
Objection.
Did you? I did not.
Next up is Tristan Morris, who again is Caitlyn Albert's boyfriend. He's the one who picked her up the night of January 28th, but he doesn't seem to remember much of the night.
You pull up at some point, park somewhere, text her your trip, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever get out of the car or go up to the house or go inside the house or anything like that?
No, I did not.
And how much time was it between the time that you texted her that you were here to the time that she came out?
I don't remember.
Where within the front of the house she came out?
No, I don't remember.
But you don't recall specifically which door she came out of?
No, I do not.
If you recall which way you came.
I don't recall.
You were at 34 Fairview Road in Canton at 1:45 in the morning or about 1:45 on January 29th of 2022, correct?
I don't remember the time. I'm not going to make up a time. I don't remember. I don't remember times. I didn't say anything. I don't remember a time. I don't, it could have been later, it could have been early. I don't know a time.
What time were you at the waterfall?
I don't remember.
What time did you leave the waterfall?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't remember where I pulled into.
Ciao. Sarah Levinson is up next to testify. She is Brian Albert Jr.'s friend, and she went to 34 Fairview that night to celebrate his birthday. She arrived with her friend, Julie Nagel, and they were there before the people from the waterfall came back to the house. Basically all the adults. Sarah's testimony was relatively short, so I'm just going to highlight a few clips from when she was up.
So sometime after the strike of midnight, these other folks start to come back to the house.
Correct.
Now, at some point in time, your friend Julie, did she go outside of the house?
Her older brother, Ryan, was coming to pick us up, to take us home around 12:30. Prior to him arriving, she said Jen McCabe and Matt McCabe would drive us home. So Matt was driving, Jennifer was in the passenger seat, Julie was behind Matt on the driver's side, and then I was behind Jen.
After Sarah's testimony is Julie Nagel. And again, she arrived with Sarah Levinson, and her testimony gets interesting when she starts to talk about what happened as she was leaving 34 Fairview that night.
Yeah, I did text my brother to see if he could pick me up. Yes, he did text me saying that he was outside. So I went outside, and it was my brother in the passenger seat, his friend Ricky, and then his ex-girlfriend Heather, them if they wanted to come in. They said, no, we just want to go home. And then I was like, I'll find out another ride home. Yeah, Matt McCabe and Jennifer did offer to drive me home if I didn't want to go home with my brother. So I just stayed and then took their offer.
At some point, you went home that night?
Give or take like 1:45. I did notice behind Sarah and Jen, I did notice something out of the ordinary, like a black blob in the ground by the flagpole. Close to like the street, but like in their lawn, right kind of in front of the flagpole next to it. I was like, I think I might have saw something. I'm not kind of sure what it was, but I was also intoxicated drinking, so didn't really know what I saw. But Sarah was like, what, Julie? And I was like, I don't know what it was. And then that was kind of really it. I'd probably say 5 or 6 feet, like long.
And here goes Cross.
When you're ultimately leaving the residence, it's about, I think you said 1:45 a.m. is your best guess?
Yes.
Fair to say that walking out the front door of that house, you saw no body on that front lawn in front of you, correct?
No.
You got into Jennifer McCabe's vehicle, correct?
Yes.
You claim now to have seen a black object in the snow, correct?
Yes.
You never before ever told any investigator that what you actually saw was a black blob, correct?
I don't remember.
You also never, ever told any investigator that this black object that you described was actually 5 feet or 6 feet long, correct?
Correct, yes.
The very first time you're now mentioning this testimony that this black object, as you describe it, was actually 5 or 6 feet long was just today, after 12 noon on May 14th of 2024.
Lally asked me how big it was, so I just told him right now, yeah.
When you were passing the property, you did not think it was a body.
At the time, no.
You claim that you told everyone in the car that you saw something, correct?
Correct.
There was no further conversation after that, correct?
Not that I can remember.
You had your friend Sarah Levinson with you, correct?
I did in the car, yes.
You knew she was a nurse, correct?
Yeah.
You didn't tell your friend Sarah that you just saw somebody lying in the snow during a blizzard who might need some help, correct?
I did not know.
That Brian Jr.'s father was a police officer, correct?
Yes.
And obviously a first responder as a police officer, right?
Yeah.
And you knew that that was Jennifer McCabe's brother-in-law, correct?
Yes.
And Jennifer McCabe was in the car with you, correct?
Yes.
You didn't tell Jennifer McCabe or JJ to call her brother-in-law, correct?
No.
The fact of the matter is, you did nothing, right?
Yeah.
And that's because you did not see a body on that lawn, correct?
I mean, I don't know what I saw, but I saw an object.
And when an investigator finally spoke to you, it was Michael Proctor, correct?
Correct.
The next witness is a little out of order, but they had to bring her in because of some scheduling issues. She is a veterinarian forensic scientist, and she tested some swabs from John O'Keefe's clothing to determine if they contained any dog DNA. This is because one of the theories is that the rehome dog Chloe attacked and bit him.
There was absolutely no canine DNA.
So there's no canine DNA, but there was pig DNA. But the forensic scientist said that that could have come from eating pork. I don't know. Here goes Cross.
So the integrity of any DNA testing has to start foundationally with the proper recovery techniques for what's being tested, what goes on the swab.
I have no idea how the agency collected the swabs.
So you're left, I guess the next question would be, you're left to assume that proper techniques were used to swab the source material.
Yes.
When the source material is not swabbed properly, then you're left with sort of a garbage in, garbage out analysis, right?
But I wasn't there to see the swabs being collected, so I have no idea. I couldn't comment on that.
Ryan Nagel is up next to testify, and he is Julie Nagel's brother. He's the one who came to pick her up that night before she told him that she was going to ride home with Jennifer McCabe instead.
I went to pick up my sister Julie because she shot me a text asking for a ride. Ricky is driving. I'm in the passenger seat, and Heather is in the back seat. I opened the door just because I assumed she was going to jump in the back seat, and she goes, "Oh, would you guys like to come inside?" I looked over at Ricky, and he goes, "Eh." She goes, "No, I'm gonna stay a little longer." And so she shut the door, and I watched her go in the house, and that was it. Yeah, it was kind of like an in and out thing.
Now, as far as the black SUV in front of you,
I noticed that the brake lights. The only reason I noticed is because the brake lights were on, and it moved. I'd say moved up maybe another car length from where it was.
and as far as around the vehicle, at any point in time, did you observe anybody exit the vehicle, or be outside of the vehicle, or anything?
No, sir. No, I did not.
See anybody go from the vehicle to the house?
No, sir. Observed that there was a person inside the car with the interior light on. There in the driver's seat. It was a woman. Seemed like she was looking straight ahead with her hands at 10 and 2. I only saw one person at the time. I wasn't really looking. It just happened to be like at a glance as we drove by.
Here goes Cross.
At any point, did you see that SUV in front of you drive up 50 or 60 feet, slam into reverse, and then drive backward?
No.
At any point, did you see that SUV reverse and hit a pedestrian?
No.
At no point did you see a person laying on the lawn?
No, but I also wasn't looking.
You didn't see a person standing or lying on the ground anywhere around that SUV, did you?
No.
And you could actually see inside the SUV as it sat there idling, correct?
Correct.
And you saw one person,
That's all I saw at the time, yes.
female with long hair. Is that
Correct.
So where was John? And now here's Heather Maxon. She was Ryan's girlfriend at the time, and she says she saw something else in that black SUV.
I noticed a male and a female in the car. The female was driving and the male was in the passenger seat. It was parked on the street outside a house.
And when you left, was that vehicle that was parked in front of you, was that in the same position as you initially described when you left?
Yes.
And as you go past the SUV, what, if anything, did you observe within the SUV?
I observed the female in the driver's seat. I didn't observe anything else. She was just sitting there. Yes, the interior lighting was on, so that's why I had noticed as we were pulling away the female in the driver's side.
Cross.
The other male that I saw in the SUV before they pulled on to Fairview, he could have been in when it was parked, but the only person I saw as we were pulling away was the female driver.
And then there's Ricky. And Ricky is the person who drove Ryan and Heather to 34 Fairview that night.
I didn't look inside the SUV.
Right, so you didn't see anybody in the front passenger.
No, I didn't look.
And then Allison McCabe comes up to testify. She is the daughter of Jen McCabe and Matthew McCabe, and she came to 34 Fairview that night because she said she was Colin's ride home. If you remember, everybody's been talking about how Colin was there only briefly because he had a ride that was coming to pick him up, but no one knew who the ride was. Apparently, it was Allie McCabe.
And when you got to the house at any point, did you exit the car or go inside the house?
No. I believe it was starting to snow. Nothing crazy.
You dropped him off at his house and then you went home?
Correct.
And when you got home, were either of your parents home at that point?
No.
Do you know about what time it was that you got?
Not exactly. I would estimate a little bit before 12:30, around that time. I'm the blue bubble and he is the gray whitish bubble. You can get me now if easier. Okay, I am driving people home now. He responded, word, get me after. KK, okay, and here, 12:10 a.m.
You recognize what's depicted in those photographs that I've just placed before you?
Colin and my auntie Coco. Yes, Nicole.
This is the same evening, is that correct?
Correct.
Is that fair and accurate portrayal of what he looked like on February 11th?
Yes.
Here's Cross.
You claim that the information on that screenshot actually existed on January 29th, correct?
Correct.
It's fair to say that on January 29th, 30th, 31st, you did not turn over that screenshot to any law enforcement official, correct, of 2022?
No, I was never asked. No, it wouldn't have been relevant at that time, I believe, because Colin was not at the house and wasn't introduced as being there until later.
You didn't turn over that screenshot of a text message until sometime during the summer of 2023, correct?
Correct.
By that time, you had already switched phones, correct?
Yes, believe.
In other words, the iPhone that you had on January 29th of 2022, you no longer have possession of that physical phone, correct?
Correct.
When did you take that screenshot that was displayed to the jury today?
I don't remember.
It's your testimony that with regard to the screenshot that we saw, there are no deleted messages in that conversation, correct?
Yes.
You would agree, as you've already testified, that if a message had been deleted from a screenshot, we'd never know, right?
True.
On August 25th, you told the trooper that you drove Colin straight to his house after you picked him up on January 29th, and then you went straight home, correct?
Yes, I believe.
And you have previously testified back in August of 2023 that you believe you dropped Colin Albert off at his home at around 12:15, 12:20 or so?
Correct.
Okay, and what time do you say that you arrived at home?
I'm not sure. Before around 12:30-ish.
Probably to your detriment, but Life 360?
Correct.
All right. That's been an app in the McCabe family for a number of years, right?
Correct, yes.
And it's, in your family anyway, and probably in a lot of families, it's mainly used for the parents to keep track of their kids, right?
Correct.
And in order for Life 360 to work, you have to have your location services on, and somebody else has to have the app and is in the family, correct? Connected to you?
Correct.
Would you agree with me that if you go on that app and you're trying to figure out where somebody in your family is, there's like a circle that surrounds your home, correct?
Yes.
So on January 29th of 2022, at 12:04 and 53 seconds, you arrived within that home circle, correct?
Correct.
12:06 and 55 seconds, you left that home circle, correct?
Correct.
12:23 and 14 seconds, you completed a 7-mile drive where your top speed was 42 miles an hour.
Correct.
And then you left home 12:23 and 14 seconds as well. And what that probably means, reading between the lines, is that you entered that home circle, but then you didn't go home. You went through the home circle and completed a 7-mile drive somewhere, right?
I guess. I thought I went home.
Objection, Your Honor.
I believe I went home. I was completing my drive at my house.
At 12:26 a.m., you left home again.
I don't know. I don't remember.
And at 12:26 a.m. and 12 seconds, you arrived at the Canton High School.
No.
At 12:26 and 55 seconds, you completed a 1-mile drive where your top speed was 43 miles per hour, right?
I don't believe so.
12:26 and 55 seconds, you left Canton High School and arrived at home at 12:29 and 28 seconds.
I do not know.
And then after arriving home again on January 29th of 2022 at 12:29 and 29 seconds, you completed a 12-mile drive at 12:31 and 22 seconds, did you not?
No,
And then you left home at 1:08 and 15 seconds.
I don't believe so.
And ultimately, you went through the home bubble and the Canton High School bubble, and you arrived at Canton High School on January 29th of 2022 at 1:28 in the morning and 8 seconds.
Can I see what you're referring to?
Did that help refresh your memory on where you were that night?
No.
Finally, you arrived at home, within that home bubble, on January 29th of 2022 at 1:30 in the morning and 26 seconds. The high school was 1:28 and 8 seconds.
It wouldn't have taken me 2 minutes to go from the high school to my house. I'm confused.
The high school was also one of the bubbles, one of the areas where you could be, right, on Life 360?
Correct.
You've agreed that home was one of the categories.
Correct.
And having reviewed that, the Canton High School is also one of the categories, correct?
I believe so.
All right. And on January 29th of 2022, the last entry is that you completed a 12-mile drive on January 29th of 2022 at 1:32 in the morning and 23 seconds. And that's the end of the activity. Do you agree with me that that's when you finally stopped that night?
I don't recall.
I ain't gonna lie. All these times got me confused. What time did she come home? The prosecutors do a short redirect and they focus on the Life 360 app and the harassment that the families have received since this trial.
Well, I'm not sure, but on the photo he showed me, it says like turn Wi-Fi on. So that like remind Allie to turn Wi-Fi on. So that could have affected the accuracy.
How far a ride is it from Canton High School to your house?
7-8 minutes.
You were in the bubble of Canton High School at 1:28 in the morning. Could you have possibly been in the bubble of your home at 1:30 in the morning?
No.
When you were asked and you turned over sort of screenshots, do you know why you were asked in August of 2023 versus any prior time period?
Because Colin Albert wasn't in the house, and it was brought up here that he was. Colin wasn't at the house, so he's being harassed for. He was not at the house when John was there, so I drove him home. So people are harassing him, saying he was at the house when it's not true.
All right, next up is Colin Albert, but you're gonna have to come back for that video so you can see his direct examination as well as his cross. And you wanna see that.